Hi everybody, this is Leah Fresh Astrology, and I am going to talk to you about the eclipse. But before we get started, I just want to mention my website, which is www.freshastrology.com. There you can order a personal reading by going to, if you go up to the little tab at the top, you hit store, and you can go in there to order a personal reading or a coaching session. I do life coaching. I'm certified as a Martha Beck life coach, and we use a type of coaching called wayfinding, which you can go to Martha's site, marthabeck.com, and you can navigate your way to the definition of wayfinding and watch her videos explaining it. But basically it's a way of tapping into your internal resources and learning how to drive them and how to use them more powerfully, because a lot of times we just feel disconnected from that. We don't even know we have it, that internal navigation system. A lot of people don't even really understand that they have it. Or if they think about it, they think it's in the brain, like how you use logic, and that's not what we do at all. And we don't even necessarily set goals, although we can. It's more we just learn how to use that navigation system so that you have more control over your vehicle, so to speak. So that's life coaching. And then I am also running different events that are either live or live on the phone with me, or in a webinar format where you're working with me kind of one-on-one. We'll be in a group. And then I'm also going to put some classes there, so just be on the lookout. They tend to go quickly because the groups, especially when I'm working with you guys, like I'm live, it's not a recording. For me to really do a good job working with you, it has to be a smaller group. So they sell out fast. So if you see one pop up, and I'll try to keep, when I do my weekly Friday astrology YouTube videos that are the short ones that show up usually around Thursday or Friday, I'll try to alert you. I'll try to alert you on Instagram and Facebook, but they've tended to fill up quickly, and I've discovered that the group really does, especially if I'm live, it needs to be a smaller group so everybody feels like they're taken care of. So watch for those, and on to Eclipse o'clock, which you'll learn about in a minute. Hi Cancer, this is Leah Fresh Astrology. We're looking at the mid-February eclipse in 2018 and where it hits on your chart. So it's a similar place, similar themes to the previous eclipse at the end of January. There are even some similarities to last August and some things that were starting at that time. What's clear about the Cancer, the average Cancer, is that there are some financial changeovers. It could be that you're partnering with other people and your finances, through that partnership are impacted at this time, or you're making decisions now that will impact your finances as they relate to partnerships. There could be some real estate decisions. There's a lot of maybe talk about how to manage money. Some of you could be thinking about buying real estate or selling real estate. But this has to do with your daily work, and it kind of points you back to, because the North Node is down here in your second house in Leo. Aquarius is where the actual new moon eclipse is taking place. And so all things to do with money. So some people could be taking on a new role or getting some commissions, or but it's more long-lasting than that. So some of you may be structuring your money differently, or maybe you're taking a new job where it's a new kind of pay, or the job you're about to take, or the schooling you're about to embark on. What you're learning over the next little bit is very, very important to you. Whatever you're beginning now and over the next few weeks is very important to you and will impact your finances. Sometimes we have a few decisions we could make. It could be we have two decisions, maybe we have more than two decisions, and it can be confusing, and it might even sound scary to think of it in terms of having all this impact on your life. The only thing I can say is I've been giving this example in a couple of the signs to this very split-second, kind of quasi-drunken decision I made at the age of 20 to or maybe I was 21, but I was very young and just out of college. I mean, just out of college. And I went to visit a college roommate who was now living or then living in Boston. And we were just out and everybody was having a good time, and they're like, oh, Lee, you should come to Boston, move to Boston, you know, you can live with me, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, yes, of course. And so I did. And having no knowledge about whether this was the right thing to do, I mean, at least in terms of logic, in a lot of ways it was very illogical for me to do this. And so, but I did it anyway. And what happened was, I mean, I had no way of knowing this. For all I knew, it could have just been a year there and then moving back home. But I then lived there for 18 years. I met my husband. I had 3 children. It completely changed my life and altered the course of my life. And I think what I said to Gemini was, it's kind of like when you make the decisions you're making now, and any decision is really like this. So it's not just now, but a good thing to know about decisions is it's really a choice between 2 different canoes and 2 different rivers, or 3 different canoes and 3 different rivers. The rivers, you know, from the point we step in that canoe, they diverge, meaning they go in different directions. And so where we end up down the line in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 20 years, is going to be very different from had we chosen that other canoe. But in life, there's really no pass-fail here. It's just a choice. Sometimes we feel more deeply that something's the right decision, and we know clearly which canoe to get in, which river to take. Sometimes it's very murky. When it's very murky, it's good to have a therapist or a coach working with you. I do life coaching. I always ask people, you know, are you seeing a therapist? Have you seen a therapist? If I think there's some kind of issue that they need to deal with, like if they have ADD really badly, if they're not getting treated for that, it's going to be hard to get them to focus if they're not fully aware of their condition, or depression could get in the way. But if someone's, you know, managing another condition, they can work with me, and what we work on is how to tap into your inner wisdom, how to find that internal guidance system so you can navigate and know which river to pick. Again, none of the rivers are really going to be bad. There's no good, bad, or right, wrong here. It'll be different, though. The lessons you learn will be different. The people you meet will be different. You may end up in a very different location physically, a very different career path. And I think for a lot of you, it's involving your career path. So the choices you make now, even if they don't seem related to career, are going to impact your career. And maybe even choices about schools. So it could be choices about schools for your children or for you. But it makes sense in a way. Like say you decide to sell a house and move to a slightly different state. By slightly different state, I mean it's not super far away. It's just, you know, maybe you're next to the border, but you just move over the border. So it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. But of course, when you have kids, that's the difference of in-state college tuition versus out-of-state college tuition. So choices that seem like they're just about buying a house, you don't always think of how it fans out through your life. Or choices about going to a school and picking a particular school program, you don't always see how it's really going to carry you in this whole different direction. That's the kind of thing we're talking about now. So in my general forecast for the eclipse, which is for all signs, I give an exercise, which is very simple. It's deceptively simple. It seems like, well, that's not going to help me. And sometimes it feels when you do the exercise like it's not giving you clarity. But the more you practice that exercise that I give you there, the better you get at hearing yourself, your wisdom. It's sometimes a very quiet voice, and it can get drowned out by all the fear voices and the ego voices and all the other voices that clamor in our heads. That voice of wisdom is still and quiet, and we have to be very quiet and still to hear it sometimes. The more you practice it, the more quickly you can get in there and hear it or access it, but it takes some practice. And also you can work with me as a coach, because we work on things like this. But you may have, you may feel very directed at this point. You may know what you want to do. But just understand the school programs you choose, the jobs you choose, the locations you choose. Even funny, seemingly unrelated choices like how to set up your finances and invest. Those are going to have long-term, especially investments. A lot of you, if you're doing any kind of investing or some kind of creative project that gets much bigger and goes further than you think it will go. You can't fully foresee that. So it's very exciting, I would say. Very exciting, Cancer. All right, take care.